Hello, hello. Ready for some more drawing, folks? Well, here I am again to do a little drawing instruction for you. Once again, for those who are new, I am using Storyboard Pro to draw in. Though that doesn't mean you have to have this program to draw in. You can draw in any program that you like. You can use anything you like to draw in. You can work on an iPad. You could even work on paper if you like. Because as I draw, I will explain step by step things that you can do in any particular way that you draw. One of the things that I wanted to cover here, and I will be covering it over and over in various sessions, is drawing out of your head. The reason why I think this is important is because you need to develop your imagination when you're drawing. You need to develop your own ability to create uh, your characters and your ideas and your images. Um, and not to be too hard on a lot of the instruction that I see on the internet these days, a lot of what I see is people drawing using photographs, tracing over them, that type of thing. And once again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to work over a photograph. It's fine. It is something we do. It is used, so it's not like it's not a real thing. But I think at the same time, I think it's also good to develop in your own mind the images that you want to draw. I think that the more you do that, that your pure imagination, you can invent something of your own. Um, you know, so that you have a lot more control over what it is you're going to do as an artist, and you're not limited. Your own imagination is limitless, so you want to you be able to get the most out of that. All right, so first of all, the most important thing about drawing out of the imagination, of course, is to have some particular position of starting. You can either have a very definite idea of something that you would like to draw, or you can do invention while you're drawing. You can create and invent while you go. And obviously, it can be fun to work either way. Um, but let's just start working just with the idea of putting something down on paper and then maybe starting to discover a direction that you want to draw in, or a character that you might want to draw. All right, so I'm going to start out here with my first thought is I'm going to draw a face. And I'm not really sure what the face is going to be, but I'm going to start out here. I'm drawing a nose and some eyes in here. I'm going to put a little highlight in the eyes. Okay. And when you draw, you'll notice that I did kind of a very kind of sketchy line to just sort of put on the paper where I start my idea. Now, like here, I'm drawing this girl's mouth. I drew the middle line first to indicate the direction of the smile, or the mouth itself. And then I drew the lips around it. I might be thinking of an expression, here as I start to put uh, her eyebrows on, I might start to think about what the kind of expression I want to put. So just the very first eyebrow I put on here, you can see I already start to give her sort of a puzzled look. And I'm just kind of making this up as I go. I don't really have a specific idea. And I'm drawing in her ear here. Because I had kind of lightly sketched the face, Now I'm starting to kind of get a little more definite. So I'm putting the harder line on it. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, I'd like to put some hair on her. So I'm going to move the image down a little bit so that I got some room to put hair. I'm going to sweep some hair. Okay. All right. So now, I didn't really have an idea outside of the fact that I was just going to draw a face as to what this was even going to be. I'll erase some of the construction lines out of this here. When you're working on a tablet, obviously one of the advantages to working on the tablet is that obviously you can do things, you can fix things a lot easier. You can manipulate the image, you can blow things up, you can shrink things down, you can get into tight spaces like I'm doing here and take out the bad lines that you don't want. I could have worked on another layer, so as to eliminate the sketchy drawing so that I wouldn't even have to erase it. I worked in a more free-form way because I just wanted you to see, like if you were working in pencil, that you could do the same thing. With the digital pen, you've got more of an ability to modify the line more. Move things around, obviously. Now I could add to this by grabbing this head, and I can add more of a body to it here. So I can move her up a little bit and go for a thinner line here. We'll just come in and start to create a body. So maybe get her body in here. So now by drawing her arm back here, I can get her hair to swoop down here. Maybe I bring it over her shoulder here. Okay, same thing here. And see, this might not have occurred to me until I started to draw in her body. So I indicate her breasts here. And when you're drawing any character, I tend to think of the anatomy underneath first, and then I'm going to go back and add clothing and stuff. I go in here and maybe take out some of the rough lines. And the reason being is that if I'm going to add clothing and stuff like that, I don't want to have too many rough, sketchy lines that I gotta, clean up. So it might be good to take out some of those lines so that when I start to put clothing on the character, it's not conflicting with everything so much. Okay, so then I come in here. So let's say I'm going to add some clothing in here. All right. So maybe we give her, I don't know, a little shirt. Okay. So maybe she's wearing a little skirt. I don't know. Dink. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Let me give us a little bit more room. Maybe if I can make the image bigger. Okay. So you can see now, I've added more body here. Now I could go even further with this. So I could go and take, let's say, well, hold up. Let's shrink her down a little more so that we got room to add more body here. Let's see, maybe take it down to this size so that now we can go in and add more body. So maybe, and we sketch, every time you're adding something new, you want to sketch, just let your pen kind of do the sketch. Quick lines, hatch the lines that you're going to have repeated lines here. This is the sketchy part, of course, is where you're just not going to worry yourself too much about it, the cleanliness of the line. You're really more interested in just getting what you want image wise down. So since I'm trying to get her full body here, I'm going to sketch in. So you can see that this part, the lower part of her body here is sketchy, as you can see. So obviously here I'm going to go back and erase the rough parts out. One of the things that you could be doing if you're working, say, on paper, you might use a different colored pencil. One of the things that I used to do quite a bit is I would work in a light blue pencil to do the roughs, because back in the day before computers and everything, when we would, and even the comic book artists would do this. They would work in well, actually, it was in a non-photo blue pencil. And the reason why they worked in a non-photo blue pencil is because the pencil would not photograph. That's why it was called a non-photo blue pencil. And you could leave your rough sketch intact and just work over it with another pencil. So you could work over the blue line with a black line. And back then, you could Xerox your final drawing or your final image, and the blue line would just not show up. So you could leave the blue line in, and you wouldn't even see it. And then the black line would photograph. And so, like for instance, comic book artists, that's how they used to work. Now that we have computers and digital art, the difference is that now you can do your work on another layer. So like you could do your sketchy line on a layer and clean it up, do the cleanup line on a completely different layer, so that you don't have to erase, like you see me going back here and erasing the bad line. But I think it's important for you to see the sketchy line so that you understand that, this is not it's good. You need the sketchy line. That's your thinking drawing. That's the part where you're trying to figure out something. So you need the sketchy line to draw to get it working. And so you can see now, I just built this out of my head. Okay, I didn't have anything to look at. I didn't trace over a photograph of a girl or anything. The reason why I think, like I said, that I think this is important for every artist to be able to draw it out of his or her head is because then you are able to reach into your mind, into your imagination, and create stuff. And that can be really fun. To show you what I mean about the blue line here, I'll take a blue pencil here. And so I'll do a sketch with a blue line. And like I said, if you're using, um, if you're working on paper, then you would want to get a light blue pencil, or you don't even, it doesn't even have to be a light blue pencil per se. It could be any kind of color pencil really, because the idea is that you want to separate the rough sketch from the finished drawing. So I can do this rough sketch, you see, and I can be, the thing that's nice about this is that I don't have to care about this drawing. I don't have to worry about it being clean and neat. I can put as many sketchy lines as I want in here, right? And I can doodle around, right? This is great because there's a freedom to drawing with a different colored pencil that you don't have. When you draw with the dark line, you kind of feel like it's got to be more finished, you know, or that you're making it finished because it's such a dark line. Okay, so now you've got this sketchy line. Then you can work on top of this with a different colored pencil. Now I'll create another layer here on top, and I'll use a dark line. And let's see here. I might be able to even get an ink brush. I wonder if this, let's see. Oh yeah, I think that's going to work. All right, so here, I can now work with an ink brush here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom up on this, and I'm on a different layer now. And then I'm just going to go over the black line, and I'm going to use an ink, like a brush line here. Okay. Because what I want to illustrate here is this is what would happen. This is what we used to do when we worked with the blue pencil. So we go over the black line, and we'd make a nice clean line. And we were treated it kind of like we were trying to ink, literally ink, because back in the day when we did comic books, we would ink the line with literal ink, with real ink. But we would work on top, literally on top of the blue pencil line. And when you make an ink line, of course, you got to be real careful because, you know, you can't, if you make a mistake, especially if you're working with real ink, you know, you can't erase that. You know, now with the computer, obviously, you got another layer, you can undo. So you're lucky with the computer, you can make a mistake and fix it. But back in the day, back in the day, we didn't have that luxury. You had to kind of make sure when you made your line that was the line you wanted. And what that would mean a lot of times is you'd have to start your line and sort of know where you were going to go, you know. Also, too, you would taper the line so that it would have thick and thin places in it. You know, like it might start out, you know, thin and then thicken up in the middle and thin out again. You'll notice that I'm kind of trying to do that. Like here, I'm making her chin, and I come down, and it's a little thicker here. And then as I come up, maybe thin it out in one spot. Same thing here with the neck. You can kind of get to a point, too, when you're drawing the cleaner line, is that you're being a little more, you are playing with the thickness and the thinness of the line that you're making. With hair, I would try to make a wispy, quick stroke because that would give the impression of the hair. And to some degree, I think with some stuff, you know, your blue line might, you know, you can be a little more liberal with the final line. It doesn't have to perfectly mimic everything that the sketchy black line was doing. You might embellish it a little more. Let's see here. But yeah, I think most people will tell you who worked on comic books that when you're doing your final ink lines, that, you know, there's just a different mentality that we would have, and we would do those final lines. And a lot of times we would make some adjustments to the final piece just because, well, now we've reached that place where it's a finished line. Okay, so there you go. So now if I turn off this layer, there's your, it will zoom up a little bit. There's your finished image. And you can see the cleanness of the line. And that's because the blue line, you know, guided us to make the final drawing. But, you know, you wouldn't normally be able to make a line that clean right out of the boat. Right out of the gate, as it were, when you start drawing. I mean, I think you can get to a place where when you make your lines and even when you're drawing, that you could make them very finished right out of the gate, right from the beginning. If your ability to remember and create, you can get to that place. So it isn't an impossible thing to happen. It can happen. It's tricky, but you know, it's just like anything else. As you're learning and drawing and practicing, you're going to get better at it. You can get better at it, and over time, you'll get to a place where you probably could just draw clean. I know a few artists who have been doing that for years, but I would imagine that they may not have started out that way, or maybe they did. Once again, you have people who have all sorts of skill sets. So anyway, all right, so there you go. Once again, this is another exercise that, like I said, I want you to, hopefully you'll benefit from this exercise. It's important to, as I mentioned before, draw out of your own imagination, because you're going to find that drawing out of your own imagination is just going to give you a lot more freedom. You're going to have a greater ability to be able to create your own images. Drawing from tracing photographs is not a terribly bad thing. I'm not suggesting that's the case, but I think it can be very limiting. When you invent things out of your own head, when you start to draw out of your own mind, that's good. Now, there's things I didn't talk about here that I'll talk about in other lessons, but the main thing here I wanted you to see was the process that I might have when I'm drawing something and inventing. Sometimes I'm inventing something on the spot. And this is what happened here. I didn't explain every little thing about what I was doing, but you saw what I was doing. And I just want you to know that drawing out of your imagination can be very, very helpful to you in a lot of ways. And it's also a lot of fun. All right. Well, I do hope that this has been somewhat of a help to you. Once again, enjoy. I hope you enjoy this. I will be doing more of these types of things. And if you watch these and they are any help to you, I wouldn't mind hearing from you. Of course, you can drop a comment in the comment section below if you like. I would appreciate a like and a subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you have a thought or a comment or something that you'd like to see me draw or talk about, feel free to put that in the comments, and I'll make it a point to try to get around to the comments and see them all. All right, have a beautiful day. Thank God for the strength and love that He's given you, the life in your body, your ability to create all wonderful things from our Father. Thank you for another time, and have a great day and a happy new year. And remember, Jesus is Lord.